Hi, good morning, everybody, and another round of coffee and questions. Hopefully, you got your coffee. And so, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a quick video today. I had an email from somebody. He lives back east. His name's Rick XG. So, Rick, I'm going to answer your question here in a short video. He emailed me saying, "Hey, I have a large tool chest, but it's not on a stand. It's not mobile. Is there anything I can do because the thing's too big? It's too heavy once it's loaded with tools to move it around my shop." And I emailed him back and I said, yeah, just build a frame for it and put casters on it. Then he emailed me again a couple of days later and said, well, hey, do you have any suggestions on, how I can do that? And yes, I have the capability, to weld. And I said, yeah, sure. So it gave me an idea to do just a quick video on this. So I'm going to show you an idea. You don't have to make it exactly this way. You can add to it or subtract from it or do whatever you want. But I'm going to answer your question here in just a sec, Rick. We're going to get right after it. No long intros. Here we go. I'm going to change the picture and I'm going to discuss, what I think you could make. It would not be that costly. So give me just a sec to change the picture. All right, now here's a picture of what you can do, Rick. And what I would encourage you to do is, now this one is not mobile, but you can swap out the casters he has here for ones that roll. You can go to Harbor Freight, or you can buy them on Amazon, McMaster-Carr, Grainger, Northern Tool, wherever, and get yourself some really good casters and make them the wheels nice, fat, and wide, and make sure they'll withstand a lot of weight. And you can add these to the bottom. But this is the basic frame. It's made out of rectangular steel. You can buy it from any steel supplier, I'm sure in your area. So this gives you a design idea of what this guy did here. And I made one quite a while back, very similar to this, but with casters on it, and it's great because you're able to actually, almost with one hand, if you have a concrete floor, pull it all around. Now, one thing that I did that you could do too is on the top of this, you see it's kind of open, where you could lay stuff in there, do whatever you want. I use drawer lining material. I think I got it out at Harbor Freight in a roll, and we put some of that down in there, and then we got some 3/4 inch plywood, and we cut it the same size as that top, and we just set it on there. Now it becomes mobile because you can move it around. Like I said, the top, that 3/4 plywood, we made it so you could just easily lift it off of there, and it gives you that open bay right there on the very top for just throwing your tools in there while you're working on something, and you can grab them, and then later on you can wipe them down and put them away. So you could do this that way. You can add the top to it like we did if you want to. If you don't want to, that's okay. Just use the drawer liner and you've got like an area, like a little work table in there. Or, you can do this any way you want. Now, you can also add hooks to the side of it. You can use horseshoes. You can use any kind of steel you found out at the supply place. Use 1/4 inch round. You can use 3/8. You can bend it like in a U. You can tack weld them onto the sides to drape cords from. You could do a multitude of things once you have this part of it done, but this is just the basic frame. It was easy to do, so stop the video, Rick, take a picture, or, make notes on this, and I would tell you make yours the same way. This is a simple design idea. You would ask me, hey, is there anything that's not going to cost me a lot? I don't believe that this is going to cost you a lot. The casters might cost you a little bit if you're getting good quality casters, but you're not going to regret it if you do, because if you buy the cheap ones, they're going to bust on you and you're just going to have a lot of problems. So I always use good quality casters. Now, besides that, if you wanted to make this taller, these vertical pieces, then those bottom, support pieces that are, creating the width here, you could lay a piece of plywood in through there from one side to the other, and you would create yourself a bottom shelf. And then you could lay stuff down there that you needed too. So that's another idea that you could add to this just by making it taller. It's not going to cost you that much more in terms of price of steel. But that's another thought that you could do here. Now, the other thing that I would tell you, let's talk about the finishing part of this, is you want to grind down all of your welds, whether you're using, 40, 60, or 80 grit, flap wheels on a 4.5 inch angle grinder. You take everything down after you've welded, you make it all look nice and neat, and you clean off the metal. So you clean it off with acetone, like I say in all my videos. You let it dry. You can actually lightly scuff sand it if you needed to, or anything like that. Then I would use primer black, or you could use primer gray. It doesn't really matter. And then pick a color of your choice if you want to paint it. In this case, you could do it in red. It would probably look pretty good. You could do it in John Deere green or whatever you want. And so that's the fun part of this, is then you can paint it and let it contrast or match or whatever you want to whatever you're doing in your shop. So those are some good ideas to have some fun with. You're asking me on like the one that I did. We put hooks on the sides. This way he was able to drape his extension cords, or if he was using like one of the power tools like an angle grinder or something, we put the hooks close together so he could just set his angle grinder right into it quickly, work, and then reach over, grab it, and keep going. Now, it's like I said, you can do anything you want design-wise to this once you have this basic frame. It's not going to cost you that much to bend hooks. It's not going to cost you that much if you want to create little baskets or you want to do anything that you want on this. This gives you the basis, and you can add on to it later. If all you did because you were worried about money, and like I said, it's not going to be that costly, build this frame, put your toolbox on there, spend your money on the casters, and then as you go forward, you can add on to this anytime you want. The only caution is make it as high as comfortable to you, okay? Now, I'm 6'5", and I don't want something that's real low, so I would have brought this up higher probably by making those vertical pieces of tube steel like much taller. But you decide, and it's not going to cost you jack squat, to bring it up higher. So decide on what's a comfortable height for you, and the rest of it is really easy in terms of welding. Make sure that you weld prep, and we've already discussed the finish work. The wood top, what we did, you can do whatever you want. We put about 2 coats of linseed oil on it, and I just leave it alone because he's going to tear apart things on top of that plywood that's on top of this tool chest, and it's going to get greasy and nasty, and you can wipe it off. The linseed oil will protect it to some degree, but not totally. But the thing about the linseed oil is every 6 or 8 months, you can get out there with a rag, you can wipe on another coat. I don't worry about the finish looking real great on the top of these because it's going to end up being kind of like a workbench. If you wanted to, yes, you could put a couple of coats of polyurethane or whatever you wanted on there and make it look nice. But like I said, he's going to use it to tear apart greasy parts and stuff like that. So we didn't do that. We just wiped it with linseed oil. And actually, if you didn't want to do that and you just wanted to leave it raw wood, you could do that too. But we put that on there and he can just lift it off and he can set it on when he wants. And it still creates that little bay in there, like I said, if he just wants to use it for throwing tools in there. And if he wants to use it for tearing something apart, he simply sets the plywood back on top of it, and he's got kind of like a workbench. You made a note in your email to me that, hey, I'm not really all that great at welding. They look kind of sloppy, bulky, but it holds. It looks, reasonably okay. Well, that's what your flap wheels are for. So go ahead and make them look like crap if you need to, but you can always, sand and grind them down with that 4.5-inch angle grinder and those flap wheels. And this is, look, it's a matter of practice, to be honest with you. I'm not an expert welder. There are sometimes, depending on the angle I'm welding at or what I'm welding, they kind of look like crap too, but if it's something that's going to be visible, I can always clean them up. You can do the same thing. So don't worry about it. And the more you do this and the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. So, don't get discouraged just because your welds don't look that great. You can always make them look great by, like I said, by just grinding them. Anyway, those are my thoughts on it, so don't worry about it. And the other thing I will tell you, just as a side note for a minute, I told my son a while back, I used to think I was a lousy welder because I had one of these little buzz boxes. I think it was an Astro or something from Harbor Freight or one of those places, I don't even remember. And then I had a friend who had a really good miller. And we spent about a half hour just talking and me playing around. And I thought, actually, I'm not a horrible welder. I'm not real good at it. But what I do is I just have a crummy machine. So that actually inspired me, to go out, and I've got the Miller 211, Matic. And it's a fantastic welder. It's the auto set. Love it. And since my skills have gotten better. So, when you get a chance, upgrade your welder. I don't know what kind of a welder you have, but try one that somebody has. You're going to be surprised at the big difference between, these really cheap throwaway buzz box things that you can buy and a really good welder. Now, I've got a really good MIG welder. My welding skills, like I said, have come up, and I've been happy about it since. Okay, anyway, I hope I gave you enough tips and information, to where, you go on out and you get that steel and you bring it home and you go ahead and you put it together. It doesn't have to be anything super thick walled. You're building a frame and you're going to set a tool chest on it, and it is steel. It'll withstand the weight. You'll be fine. Just, take caution in your welds and make sure that you do all of the prep work. Grind everywhere. weld prep, you could say, before I even do my welds or while I'm doing it. And your welds will turn out better too, if you take that precaution. Anyway, I hope the video helps you. I hope you go out and I hope you grab the steel. And if you get a chance, send me pictures of your end product. I'll post them for other people to look at. All right, I'm the Home Handyman. I want to thank you folks very much for watching the video. Give me a thumbs up, click subscribe, and keep following me. I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Have a good day, folks. Bye-bye.